Okay, perfect. I'm going to keep an eye on if anybody knows anybody else who is trying to join, let them know to go back into board docs and refresh and try and jump back on because we had the wrong link. So. Okay, so we are going to start with annual meeting and then we're going to go into a regular meeting agenda. So we're going to call the meeting to order at 4:37. We'll do roll call. We'll go around the room. Ida Sampson.
Jenny Rose. Stacy Burfield.
Pete Haffey.
Ann Priskovich.
Brandon Goldberg.
John Swanberg.
Jennifer Maxwell. Brittany Hager. Jason. Ian Mary.
Perfect. And online?
Jill Betcher.
Cameron Menace.
Jolie Little.
All right. Thank you, everyone. The next item is announcements. Do we have any right now? Nothing crazy at this point.
No, other than our next meeting is on January 6th,
Perfect.
25.
Okay, next item is the approval of the December meeting agenda. Do we have motion to approve the December meeting agenda?
I'll make that motion.
And do we have a second?
Second. Sorry.
We had a motion by Stacy, a second by Brandon. Can you hear everybody okay, Julie?
Yep, so far.
Awesome, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. So we are going to move into the annual meeting agenda items. And first item is the board member elections. There was no one with the official interest yet. There's a few people that wanted to jump in and see how things looked, or how things went, but nobody ready to dive in to this craziness with us yet. So
Do we need to talk more about how fun we are or something? No?
maybe, I don't know.
Chamomile says yes.
We could try that next.
You guys are fun.
I like us.
Was there on the note that went out to families, was there a deadline of the 17th that you needed to submit your interest by, or was that?
Yes.
Because when I handed that out to families at conferences, some of them were like, oh, we're too late to be a part of that. So is that extended then?
No.
Well, if there's open seats, people can apply for those seats at any time, but it's too late for this election that's happening today.
Yeah. So people can join at any time moving forward. That was just the deadline that was set so we could get it onto this agenda and everything out to people. So people can still, if they have interest in joining, they can still contact me. That's absolutely fine. But just for this meeting's deadline, that was November 17th, since we're only 2 days into December. Okay, so with our board member elections, we had 3 people up for re-election, which were Jolie, Stacy, and myself. And Camille, can you help me out?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So those you are all accepted onto the board. Congratulations. Good job, guys.
Yay.
All that worrying.
I know. It was a really contentious election this year.
Yeah, I was losing
Pins
sleep.
and needles, sweating. Yeah. Okay, so now, we're going to transition into officer position elections. So I'm going to take it over just for this period for the officer election. And then following the officer election, whoever assumes the officer chair position will take the meeting from there. So I would like to open the floor for any nominations for the chair of the board. Any nominations? Or you can say like you want to do it yourself.
I nominate Ida. She's doing a great job,
I
and
second that.
Crap.
you're not. You're very good at this.
Unanimous.
Okay.
All right. I heard first and second for a nomination for Ida. Any discussion? Any other nominations for the chair? All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, Ida,
Yay.
you get to continue to be the chair.
All right.
Girl.
But I would like you, we missed something, but we can go back to it. All right, vice chair. Do I have any nominations for the vice chair position?
I nominate Stacy Burfield.
Yes.
I second that.
Do you have to have a vice chair?
Yes, Stacy, and you have to have a job.
It means,
but
yeah, just if Ida's not there, you would be there in her stead.
I'd help you.
So I heard a first and a second for the vice chair for Stacy. Any other nominations? Any discussion? All in favor? Say aye. Opposed? All right. Stacy, congratulations. You are the vice chair. All right, we will move on to secretary. Do I have any nominations for the position of secretary?
Jolie.
Julie.
All right, a handful of Jolies out there. Nominations. Is that a first and a second? Any discussion? Any other nominations? Jolie, you're amazing. Keep up the good work.
Finally figured out board docs too. So
See, now you've got it. You're on a roll. And then finally for our treasurer, any nominations for the treasurer?
I nominate Brandon. I'll
I
second.
second and third. There you go.
Perfect. I see a first, second, and third. Any discussion? Any other nominations? All right, congratulations, Brandon. All right, there's just one other thing that we need to do for the rejoining members of the board is the oath of office. That's okay. I will just screen share. Well, I'll just read it and you can just say it after me, each person. So Ida, you can be the example. So I, Ida Sampson, having been elected to the governance board
I, Ida Sampson, having been elected to the governance board
of Eagles Wings,
of Eagles Wings,
swear that I will faithfully and impartially
swear that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties of said board to best meet my ability.
I'm gonna need to hear that one again. I heard
A
it.
working memory test.
That I will discharge the duties of said board to the best of my ability.
Well, oh my God. Discharge
The duties of said board
of said board
to the best of my ability.
of my abilities.
Yay, you're in.
That was a terrible example, you guys.
Oh, I also did a bad job, so that's on me. And it's not in front of you. Okay, Jolie.
Yeah.
I, Jolie Little,
I, Jolie Little,
have been elected to the governance board
have been elected to the governance board
of Eagles Wings.
of Eagles Wings.
Swear that I will faithfully and impartially
Swear that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties of said board
discharge the duties of said board
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
All right, Stacy, you were the other one?
Yep.
All right. I, Stacy Burfield,
I, Stacy Burfield,
having been elected to the governance board
having been elected to the governance board
of Eagle Wings,
of Eagle Wings,
swear that I will faithfully and impartially
swear that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties of said board
discharge the duties of said board
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
All right, we have concluded that section of the annual meeting. Congratulations all.
So does Brandon not do this?
Only folks that were just elected,
Oh,
like
Christ.
re-elected.
Realize.
Yeah.
So next year,
So
I
next
didn't
year.
want you to miss out.
I know that was really fun. All right, Ida, I hand it back over to you.
Thank you. Okay, so the next item we have are the Charter School 23 to 24 annual individual reports. And there are all of the files attached there in board docs. Do we have someone who wants to give a brief overview of them? Let's see if I can open them.
Right.
They're in here.
So what we've done with the different charter schools is just to provide highlights of academics, of programs, or of their program, and then also future plans. So taking a look at it with the Montessori, just a number of great things going on as far as ELA and writing, and also taking a look at the scope and sequence. I know that E2 developed it, and then E1 has really been working hard at putting all of that together. So a lot of progress has been made over the past month in that. One real big highlight for the Montessori program is the fact that Shannon and Beth gave a presentation at the Montessori conference this past year, and was, I mean, that's an outstanding accomplishment if they're presenting there. So it was great to see that piece. And then, you know, as we're moving forward, we're all focusing on ELA this year and just clearing up what our scope and sequences across the district. So
Awesome. Thank you. The other.
For Eagles Academy, we also did our highlights similar to Montessori, so focused on our ELA instruction in mathematics. In the past year, so this was last year, students mastered the appropriate math standards that they needed to, according to the scope and sequence of Alex Math online program, as well as through project integration. Through ELA, students experience multiple modes of instruction through advisor design and student-led projects. In project-based learning, that's one of the things that you'll see integrated into almost every aspect of the day is English language arts through taking notes and researching, a lot of collaboration and discussion, nonfiction and fiction text, writing, a lot of writing workshop and things like that. I also put in the ELA math standardized testing achievement, although we have lots of goals that we want to improve in. And one of the things that stood out with our Fast Bridge screeners was that in both subjects by the end of this school year, the percentage of students were identified as low risk and college pathway increased as measured by the Fast Bridge screener. And then also in math, that was the case. So program highlights, one of our first overnight adventures, we successfully completed that. That was student generated. She was studying the Northern Lights and so wanted to take her classmates to experience that. Although we did not see the Northern Lights, we experienced a lot of other great things. Community connections throughout the course of the year through student-led and advisor design projects. Students connected with at least 18 community members to strengthen, further develop, and share their learning. As I was doing this report, that's one of the things I want to document more closely because I think it's far more than that. But just looking in the past year, that's kind of what we had to draw upon. Presentation of learning, students share their learning through 2 project showcase events, 2 student project connections with students at Northern Waters Environmental School in Hayward, and then 2 seminar project presentations of learning. Future plans, we are working together with district ELA teachers to identify ELA essential standards and then how that unfolds throughout our 3-year curriculum framework. And then in the next 5 years, we'll be collaborating with other core subject content areas, just so that everybody in the district, whether they attend a charter school or a traditional school, they're all meeting the same standards, just in different ways.
Thank you.
Yes, it's
Virtual?
me.
Yep.
I didn't know I was right. Graduation, I thought we had 2 graduates in June. One of them had done 4 years of virtual, so I thought that was good. There are 6 on track for graduation this year. One of them is graduating in January, so the virtual has helped students be able to get done early if need be. Highlights, I think we've had pretty consistent enrollment. 23, 24, we have 24 total of 8 open enrolled, and 24, 25, we have 20 total currently and 6 open enrolled. I don't know. I didn't have any future plans. I don't know what
Right.
there are.
So one thing that I found out pretty early this year is developing our alternate accountability is quite the challenge. I know that Brittany and the Eagles Academy, they use their FastBridge data to establish their accountability system. The consistency that we've had with students in the virtual program makes it a lot more challenging. I mean, we can use the FastBridge testing data to establish goals, but how to continue to measure and monitor that piece is the piece that we're going to try to figure out here. So anyway, more to follow on that piece. So
You had talked too about how they actually take that screener, whether they come in person. Has there been more discussion about that?
it can be done online. And talking to FastBridge, and it seems like a fairly antiquated process because they established it with COVID and haven't changed it much, but that's all right. We'll get through that piece. It's that to me is the small hurdle. It's more of that consistency in how we're going to establish goals and manage progress towards those goals. So anyway.
Awesome. Thank you. Are there any questions on any of those? All right. Next item is the charter school 23-24 financial report. Anyone want to say any fun things about that?
Ms. Carey.
That's just the annual authorizer report that we have to submit to DPI every year. We still have the auditors are finishing up the charter audit and finishing numbers. This is kind of a general breakdown. The numbers that are shown in, let's see, towards the, with the salaries and things like that, regular curriculum, those numbers do not include the grant money. So that is strictly what was expended through the district for the Eagles Grants charter. And then I did include reports that had breakdowns of how much was spent in each category, each virtual, Montessori, and the Eagles Academy. Any questions on any of that? And then also the grant.
Anybody have any questions? Comments? Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, so those items conclude our annual meeting agenda, and we will move into our regular meeting agenda. So the next item for that is community comments. If there's any public comments. Nope. Okay. Then we'll move into the next item, which is the approval of the November minutes. Do we have a motion to approve the November minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve those.
Second.
We have a motion by Stacy, second by Brandon. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. So the next item is the treasurer's report. Are there any questions or comments on that? I know financial information is super exciting, so.
And I understand every bit of this. So that's great.
Okay. All right, if there's no questions or comments, then is there a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
I motion to approve.
And a second.
I'll second that.
So a motion by Brandon, second by Stacy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next is the expenditure report. Any questions, comments, fun facts? All good? Okay, so we have a motion to approve the November expenditure report.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay. Motion by Stacy, second by Brandon. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carries. So then next item is the administration report.
So we've got a few different things here. The December,
Yeah.
just a few things to share. The December admin 306090, I'll let you guys peruse that a little bit, and then we do have the December enrollment as well. And then I'll get into report card, since that is a wonderful new piece that was released last month. So first of all would be questions on the 306090.
None from me.
Hard to believe, we just finished up our first round of parent-teacher conferences, and we're already projecting our next one, so it's awesome. All right. And then, sorry, John, you get to hear this twice, talking about the school report card update, since it pertains to everyone. Just a little more information on the report cards, what goes into the making of them. Generally, with report cards, your student achievement and growth is based on state assessments. That is if you have 20 students or more, which that's where we experience situations with Eagles Academy and the virtual, where we don't have the numbers to fully take advantage of that school report card. And we have to do that alternate accountability, okay? So there's 3 tests that students could participate in. Not could, but do participate in. The first one is the forward, which is grades 3 through 8, and grade 10 for social studies. The pre-ACT secure, which is 9 and 10, and then the ACT. Other areas that are considered is attendance and post-secondary preparation. Anywho, and then there's also the breakdown comparison to state averages where we fit in there, and then breakdown for like on the Montessori and the regular school. It's taking a look at the economically disadvantaged students and students with disabilities. So we get a little more information on that. Okay. So taking a look at it, the district report card meets expectations is 63.8. That was an increase from last year, so that's a good indicator. I know that growth, we've done really well with growth, and I know that with our report cards here based on our demographics, we're more weighted in student growth, so our report card is the overall score is weighted more on the growth that our students achieve versus actual achievement. But we are still seeing an increase in with our student achievement, which is a good thing. Target group that we had was our economically disadvantaged students, which that's always something that we're going to be working at is our students in that demographic. The strengths, as you see there, just seeing a lot of good growth across the board. And then our achievement has been increasing in ELA. That's a good thing. For some reason, our district does better with ELA than math, and we'll talk more about that. So anyway, so more focuses that are more foci for next year as well. The one thing that is of concern is our students with disabilities not seeing the same achievement and growth that we're seeing in our the rest of our population. So things that we're already honing in on with our CISA support and this implementation zone grant and work that we're doing. So more to follow on it. And then another thing is that chronic absenteeism, and I think we've already taken strides to change our absenteeism when it comes to truancy and actually cleaning up our codes. So everything's very streamlined. We don't have 20 different codes for absences or whatnot, and it's a lot less confusing. So we should get better data with that. So the traditional school report card, same exact score. A lot of similarities there, and just seeing the breakdown from last year to this year. So I like the fact that we had greater growth when it comes to math than the state, but still more, we have to do better with the achievement piece. So
when you talk about the disparity, you're talking about between the state average and what the district is scoring.
Right. Okay. Yep. So
When you mentioned having less than 20 students per, is that like less than 20 students per grade group? So for in like Eagles Academy, because there's less than 20 6th graders, 7th graders, 8th graders, that type of thing?
no, it's the general population. I mean, I'll get into the specifics with that because with if you went by grade level, we don't hit that threshold in a number of them, right? But it's the general population.
As a
we have
whole.
that, yeah.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
okay.
So
And we're getting there. So
perhaps we could they're performing higher, but we don't get that data?
that's
Okay,
so,
or we don't get credit for it.
mhm.
So chronic absenteeism is a national epidemic right now.
Right.
Is Solon more so than a national average?
I can't say it about the national average because I'm not
State
looking at
average?
it. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been our So it's kind of interesting. They call it absenteeism, but they look at attendance rate, which is like the opposite. So our number is lower than the state, meaning our attendance rate is lower. But that's what I'm saying, being much more diligent about following up on absenteeism and tardies, and then truancy.
Making sure families get doctor's notes and whatnot, so they're excused.
That's it, is getting that all cleared up. And I think part of the issue that we saw and found that this fall is the fact that we had a number of different codes in there which were irrelevant. So one classroom would mark it as tardy, another classroom would mark it as, I don't know, tardy virtual. I don't know. It was crazy, the number of different codes that people could plug in and whatnot. And it was hard to get good data on it and good reads on students. So we're in a much better spot when it comes to that. So anyway, in fact, you've got a couple meetings yet this week.
Meeting with families.
Just going over that. So,
Okay.
All right. Once again, the strengths, 8th grade math proficiency. Nice to see that piece, with that increase, and then students with disability scores increasing over the past 3 years.
That would be last year's 8th graders, correct?
Yep. So, and then areas to improve. Once again, that achievement gap, making sure that everyone's achieving at the same rate. Okay. Montessori report card. Outstanding. So the Montessori report card overall 67.0 meets expectations. I think another 4 points and we're in the next category. So, I mean, we're not far off. So that's not all bad. ELA achievement, doing better than the state average, which is awesome to see that piece. But once again, the math, we're going to be tackling that a lot more, and that gets into our plans for next year. Okay, so just know that I see this. I've got some concerns right now in our collaborative meetings. We've already identified some things that we need to focus on, and it's just interesting to have some of those conversations like we haven't necessarily had previously, and it's helping with some of our programming and focus with our younger grades. So as they move up, maybe we can take care of those issues. Because just talking with E2 and 5th grade, both are seeing the same concerns with students and carrying over, and some of those pieces that they might have missed part of that due to COVID, because as we look back when they would be getting that main instruction, it's right in that time frame, at COVID and just beyond it, right? So, we're focusing on some of those skills and trying to recoup some of the skills, but then make sure we're focusing on it with our younger grades. Okay,
Is RTI happening in those?
that's correct. Yes,
It is happening?
Yeah. So
30 minutes a day?
it's scheduled.
Okay.
So, all right. So those are the big things there against the strength, ELA achievement, attendance, and chronic absenteeism. So, which attendance and once again, attendance and chronic absenteeism, they're just the inverses of each other, but it's looking good on that side.
So does that, as a strength, it's a lack of chronic absenteeism?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. They're the inverses. So their attendance is great, meaning their chronic absenteeism is low.
Okay.
Anywho, Eagles Academy report card. I don't know if you want to talk about that at all, Brittany.
Yeah, we, in middle school, we have less than 20 students, so same as our high school, so we did that alternative rating score. If you look at the paperwork, we met expectations or whatever the alternative reading documentation is. So with ELA, we have a higher percentage of students who are advanced or proficient as compared with the state. Lower percentage of students who are approaching standard or developing as compared with the state. Same thing with our math summary. Strengths for increasing performance on statewide assessments for ELA and math. So as you see, from year to year, our assessment, our achievement is increasing. So that's something to be proud of. From the last state report card to our current school report card, the percentage of students who are advanced or proficient is increasing. Approaching or developing students has decreased. Areas that we have to improve are students with disabilities performance and then math achievement. And those are two things that we're continuing to work on with team meetings, planning with traditional teachers and so we're working with CISA. CISA 12 is coming in a lot too with teachers across the district, and so participating in that as well.
Right. So that and you'll notice if you look at the report card, just one thing about, there is data and information in the report card we get from the state. However, it doesn't generate that overall score for the school. So anyway, so there's still good information in there as far as how students are performing on statewide tests. It's just not getting that overall picture. Okay.
So do traditional and Montessori, are they measured in the same way? I mean, clearly the other two are not. Eagles Academy and virtual.
Right. You're exactly right. That's why I'm saying with the report card, you still get data on the statewide assessments. It just is not, you don't have enough students in there to trigger that bigger assessment along with the score.
So do we internally assess them based on I mean, can we give them our own grade, or is that even a viable thing to do? Or
Right. No, I appreciate you bringing it up. Actually, it's a requirement from the state of Wisconsin. If we do not meet that 20 student threshold, we have to have our own accountability system or an alternate accountability system. So that's where Brittany is talking about it, where we take a look at their FastBridge data for all students, whether it's in the middle school, Eagles Academy, or the high school. They all take it and they establish their goals based on the FastBridge data for those students. So.
And that's something that the state requires
That's
for schools that don't meet the 20
Mhm.
threshold. So that's something that we report to the DPI at the beginning of each year on the previous year's data. So the district is monitoring that, but the DPI is also monitoring that.
so do the boards probably should see some sort of measurement for Eagles Academy and virtual.
Yes,
But I mean, it's not in the state report card.
that's correct.
Okay.
So
Will that come in a separate?
we will put that together because still getting my head wrapped around some of this stuff.
Sure.
That's what
But
we're
it's-
having the trouble with the virtual. We haven't done any of this yet.
Yeah.
So in the virtual, it says 2 students completed. Is that like voluntarily if they're doing it, or at the state
Well,
assessment?
We have the forward and the ACT, and I had virtual students come in for that. So the 9th, 10th, and 11th graders did come in for testing, those that I could get to come in. It's hard to get virtual kids to come in for testing.
I suppose that's why they're in
It's part of the
virtual.
reason they're virtual, I
Right.
think.
Yeah.
So hopefully with FastBridge, with being able to do it at home, we'll be able to get a
Right.
better assessment.
The other piece is making sure that they're in that grade. So if you have seniors that are in virtual, you're not getting any statewide assessment data from them.
So they'll get a letter grade from the program
That's
they're
right.
in, but no other sort of outside look at really how they're doing.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
But there's
So-
nothing for 12th graders in the traditional
No.
setting anyway.
No, there's no assessment for
Yeah.
seniors. So.
Have you thought about having a proctor go into the home to get them to take tests?
It's a consideration.
Neutral site?
There's an issue where it comes to neutral sites and doing online assessments.
The virtual,
So-
you can do a whole webcam thing and they can simply be watched by
Well,
an
also
adult.
the forward and, well, I don't know the forward, but I know the ACT has to be done on our server.
Oh, easy to on paper.
And I believe forward is the same as well, so.
Either a
So,
driver's ed test.
kind of an ignorant question on my part. Are juniors required to take the ACT or is,
Yes.
Required,
We encourage.
Yeah.
students and families have the option to opt out of any statewide assessment, which is good and bad. Because I will tell you that in some of our district assessments, one being joint federal notification when it deals with students with disabilities or IDEA, that is one of the indicators is student participation in statewide assessment. So the lower the number of students that participate in statewide assessment, we get dinged as a district.
so maybe I'm getting these a little mixed up. The ACT is a statewide,
It is.
it's not the college preparatory,
It
or is it the
is.
same thing?
It's the same thing.
Okay,
The state of Wisconsin, 7 years ago, made that decision that students are going to take the ACT regardless.
okay, so it has two purposes.
That's
One, to see how compatible you might be in any given school, and just a measurement.
Right. So the state used that as an indicator for all the districts, and then students can take that. The caveat to this is that students still have the option to take the test multiple times to get better scores.
Right.
And that's what will go to schools if they so choose.
But we
But-
don't get their rescore, right?
We don't.
And that's.
It's just a one-shot deal on the state side.
That is correct.
One
Okay.
day, maybe a second makeup day if you have.
I love your optimism.
Oh,
Tony.
I'm sorry. Frustrating.
Yes.
We scored on it.
Okay.
So. Fair. So that is my report.
Awesome. Any more questions, further discussions? So long it logged me out of board docs.
I apologize.
Nope, we're good. Okay. And we will move on to Eagles Academy update. There's a report linked in there. Does anybody have any questions, any highlights you want to point out?
I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. We did finish up our phonology story of place seminar since the last time we talked. If you're interested in looking at any of the kids, they did narratives based on their ecological concepts and their stories of place, but they also needed to do a piece of artwork to go with that. And so that was some, not all, but some of the artwork that came out of that project.
Any questions on?
Did you already have a showcase or is there one coming up?
January 16th. Yeah. So, if you would like to put it on your calendar, we're having our winter project showcase night for everyone. That's Thursday, January 16th. From 4:30 to 6:30. That's a slightly different time frame, but we wanted to make it before the boys' basketball game. So to do both.
Nice.
Basketball is really important in the community.
Yes,
so they
yes, it
want
is.
to talk about those things.
The 16th
Yes,
at what time?
4:30 to 6:30.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for asking.
Okay. We'll move on to the Montessori program report linked in there.
Mhm.
Any questions, comments, highlights?
So a lot of great things here. And it's nice that we're utilizing some of the wonderful resources around us as well. And just that focus on our reading and writing and also getting into more of our math instruction. The one thing of caveat, well, actually two, I want to participate in the candlelight snowshoe hopefully this year. That would be nice. Anyway, but the other one is, and Stacy can attest to this maybe a little bit, is the fact that in January we start up our Ames Web assessment for reading. That's for grades K through 3. So that's a change up based on state requirements.
Will we have enough snow for the candlelit snowshoe this year?
Well, the general report I'm getting is yes. So,
Okay.
but anyway,
Is there a date on the calendar for that?
It's on the school calendar.
it is.
Okay.
So I'll make sure that you guys get that.
And is there going to be a fundraising opportunity at that event? I think in years past that's happened.
Right. Yep. That's what they have on here, as well as the soup made by students for sale for that. So
Okay.
that will continue.
Hey, Pete, I just wanted to mention for the Ames Web, that is
Yep.
not something that people can opt out of. Even though it's mandated by the state, it's not a state assessment. So families can't opt their
Yeah.
students out versus like the forward exam where a family could opt their
Right.
students out.
Yep, you're correct. It's not a state assessment. You're correct, but the state says we have to do it. So it's awesome. Anyway. Everything is awesome.
Just keep saying it.
Yeah.
He has all the
I believe.
optimism that I have none.
Anyway. All right.
Virtual report is linked in there. Any questions, comments, highlights?
No, I do have a third grader, so they'll have to do the Ames Web. I should add that on in the 60 days. Figure that out.
More to follow on that one.
All right. Next item is the student report. No student reports this time. And then item after that is the committee reports. Do we have any committee reports that I'll just go around? Nothing. Okay. We're going to move on to old business. The Charter School Governance Board Handbook. So the handbook is linked in there, and the current version is updated with the updated bylaws. And we still do have some more updates to do, but we can approve it with those updated bylaws, and then we can work on some of the other updates and wording and fun stuff.
Yeah, I think there's only a couple items that we should probably review again, but I think it's wise for us, being that we have done so much updating with our bylaws, to have this updated now and approved would make sense. And then we can tackle those other components later on here. So.
Are there any questions or discussion on that? Oh, no.
So no, get that up.
Okay, then do we have a motion to approve the updated Charter School Governance Board Handbook?
Did you suggest we wait on that? We may have
You
more
may.
to do, or can we approve it as of now?
I would say
Yeah.
it's wise of us to approve what's done now, because it has the updated bylaws, because there's been a lot of work done on the bylaws. And I think it's wise for us to have that updated version, so.
I will make a motion to approve those.
Okay. Second?
I'll second it.
I have a motion by Stacy, a second by Jenny. All in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We can move on to new business. Last month we talked about an open enrollment window and setting that. So we have that on our new business to approve the charter schools open enrollment window from January 1st, 2025 through February 28th, 2025. Are there any questions or discussion on that?
How is that advertised? On board docs.
No,
No.
we would have that posted through the district and then also through social media.
Okay.
Just when that is open.
Is this a hard and fast window? Someone comes March 15th and says, I'd like to enroll their,
We can open it up again.
oh,
Yes. I would say that it becomes more of an issue when it comes to your wait list. Because those individuals that meet that or enroll within that window will get the seats and will would receive priority on any wait list that we might have. So.
But then if there's still open seats after the lottery, the people who apply just fill those seats in the order that they apply.
Right.
but they've already applied in the window or not.
If they've applied in the window, but
Yeah.
what Chamomile is saying though too is if there's
If
still
they apply
seats after that window,
After.
they can still apply
Okay.
and get in.
Is there ever just a hard drop dead date?
Yeah.
Based on
still
the
be
state of
waitlisted.
Wisconsin, no, there isn't.
Okay.
I mean, if we follow that, because families and students they typically fall within that open enrollment window. When we talk about big picture, right? But that doesn't mean that they still can't apply for open enrollment later on under alternate.
I mean, if some
Open
family moved in here
Right.
in June,
Mhm.
they could,
They can
there's a
still
seat
apply.
available.
Right, they can still apply. It's just, once again, if we would have the openings or if there's a wait list where they would be seated on that with the lottery, so. Did I miss anything, Chamomile?
No, that's right. They apply within the window that you just set, they go into the lottery. And once they're in the lottery, it doesn't matter when they applied in that window, all of the names go into the lottery to fill the open spots. But after the lottery is done, anyone who applies can either fill an open spot in the order they applied, or they go on the waiting list in the order that they applied after that lottery window has closed.
And is that primarily for Montessori or all the charters?
It would be for all charters, but Montessori is typically the one where we're seeing that right now.
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
And is this something where if we get like an abundance of people all of a sudden on a wait list and we're considering like extra staffing, then you can reopen a window or?
Yeah, you can do a second enrollment window if you wanted to. It would just have to be appropriately announced to the public, but yeah. Or you just know you already have that many students, right? If you're
Right.
because you already have 20 students on your waiting list, then you fill that class with the 20 students that are on the waiting list because there's now space for them.
Or for like virtual, it could work in the opposite way. We could say no more entry into virtual because enrollment windows are closed.
Yeah, as a governance board, you can always close enrollment because either one, you've hit your enrollment limits, or two, you just don't want to take any more students until the next year for whatever reason you decide. Like it's too challenging for students to join that late in the year, or yeah, whatever reason it is. And that would be like, even if your classes aren't full, like for virtual, you still decide you're not taking any more students.
Right.
And that would just be an agenda item and you'd have to vote on it. And then it would have to be clearly defined on your website.
Yep.
Do charters also have enrollment minimums?
Yep. You
What
sure
is
can.
Is there a typical number? Like 20 is our maximum for our classes. What is a typical minimum that a school would have?
I mean, that's something you could discuss with your district. It's often like, what is your financial break even for the school to run? And so, usually that's like between 12 and 15 students, depending on just general costs for employees, how many employees you have in that classroom, what your space costs are, all of those things. Virtual, obviously, it's going to be different than that, but brick and mortar, staff costs, all of those things, it's usually in that ballpark, but Pete probably would have a better answer to that question for your specific school district. And so you as a board, as being fiscally responsible is one of your three main responsibilities, you could always determine that minimum as well, like that, the class will run only if it exceeds so many students and cannot be more than the class size limit that you set, or the school size limit that you set, however you decide to do it.
Good questions. Good questions.
Okay. Any more questions, discussion? All right. Do we have a motion to approve the charter schools open enrollment window from January 1st, 2025 through February 28th, 2025?
I have a question. I might have missed this. Is this for all charters or just Montessori?
All charters.
Do you need to have a minimum for?
This
We're
is
not setting a
this
minimum.
is just the
There
open
should be a
enrollment
minimum for
window.
virtual, I think, because there is like if you get 10 after, it's like 10 and then the cost is different. I don't know
So,
I don't know if you want to look at that.
but
Yeah, that will be, I think we have to look at that moving forward.
Okay.
But that'll be completely different than
Okay.
our open enrollment window
Okay,
for
so-
now. Yeah.
Because you currently already have class size limits set. It's just, do you want to do minimums? And you could put that on the agenda for your next board meeting in January if you wanted to set minimums, if it made sense, like specifically as mentioned for virtual.
I think we would need more discussion
Mm-hmm.
on that for sure. So. But yes.
But if you put it on as a discussion item, then people would be prepared to bring the information that you needed to January's meeting so that you could have an informed discussion.
Yes.
So for that thing, I'll make the motion that we go with open enrollment window from January 1st to February 28th for all of the charter schools.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Jenny, second by Stacy. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next item we have is to discuss a joint district board governance board meeting. This was something we had on our calendar and we had talked about a long time ago. So this is just a discussion to figure out if that's something we still want to do
Is
and
this
when.
formal meeting, like recorded, everything, or is it like a
I think that's part of our discussion today.
well, any time that you would have the board together, you would have to post it, right? And you would have to have an agenda of some nature, okay? And I guess it would be the question, if that was the decision to do a joint, what would be our objectives in that meeting, and what would the agenda look like? Because then it has to go to the regular board in establishing that piece too, correct? So,
What is the difference between that and a special meeting?
a special meeting, once again, that has to be posted and you have to have an agenda. So I mean, you could list it as a special meeting and still have an agenda with it.
Is that what we did with chamomile over the summer?
So with chamomile, we had we had a notice of quorum, but it was board work. The regular board has had very much the same when it came to our strategic planning process, and it still had to be open, but it was a notice of quorum as they were doing their business. If this is going to be a meeting of such, we would have to once again post. Have that agenda. It could be listed as a special meeting because it falls outside of that general meeting, unless, depending on the scope of it, I guess. So.
Yeah, I would echo Pete, depending on what, your desired outcomes are. Are they to build relationships with the district board and to talk, short-term or long-term strategic plan or any like specific topics that you'd like to tackle? Or is it literally just a shared business meeting? I would imagine you'd probably get more out of a special meeting where you had some really specific goals in mind and some work that you could do together to like build the relationship between your two boards. And then just as Pete said, that would be a special meeting. Obviously all meetings are open to the public, but it wouldn't have a business agenda and decisions wouldn't be made at that meeting necessarily.
Right.
I would be open to a special meeting.
Do we have any thoughts or ideas on what we would have as part of that agenda or no?
I liked the long-term planning.
Okay. And
It's
as
also really nice to do some team building of some sort. So you get to know each other, like some sort of activity that you're doing together. Like if you're going to come together, like part of the goal is relationship building and building trust, right? Right now you're kind of working in silos, and how do you start to cross over and build some more trust and understanding between the two boards?
Okay. Can I probe this just a little more? When you say long-term planning, what focus are you looking at?
Like academic programming and assessment.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Maybe thoughts on growth in the charter schools. What's the vision for the charter schools long-term within the school district? Like those bigger conversations, I think would make a lot of sense, so that you know that what's in your minds as a governance board for the charter schools is the same thing that's in the minds of the district school board.
Okay.
I think growth is probably one of the biggest topics, what they would like to see and what's realistic.
All right. Any thoughts, John? I don't want to put you on the spot, but
No,
okay.
nothing comes to mind.
Okay. I'll make sure we get this on the agenda there too, so we can have that thought and then plan out when we're going to do this. So that works. Okay. More than likely, just based on the time frame, we'd probably be looking at end of January, beginning of February time frame. That should give us enough time to put some thought behind this and get something organized. So
Perfect. The beginning of January is going to be busy enough as is. So, and is better, or early February. Perfect. Okay, the next item we have is the equipment value threshold. And consider raising the equipment value threshold from 5,000 to 10,000 to match the state definition.
check. So just kind of let things out here. The Eagles Academy was awarded the extension grant that was applied, which is nice. It adds a little bit to this. But where they were getting into some mixes of definition previously, definition of equipment was $5,000 or greater, and anything below that was considered supplies. And that's how we mark things out budgetarily. But apparently on October 1st, there was a change up in wording and thresholds at the state level. That doesn't mean that you as a board have to take action in making that change. The way they see it is that $10,000 is now the threshold for items to be considered equipment, and below that would be considered supplies. So
When you spend out the budget, would that be advantageous for us? Or not?
Not, I wouldn't say it would be advantageous in any aspect. I think where it comes down to is more of liquidation is where you have that change up. Supplies versus equipment. Equipment is under the liquidation process. And there's a very specific steps that you have to take for liquidation of that stuff. Versus supplies, it's used and it doesn't
Expendable.
Yeah, it's not. There isn't so much accountability and oversight of that stuff, of things that are below that threshold. So I'm not anticipating liquidation anytime soon. Okay, so I guess that's within your call. I would say that as we look at the grant we have this year to spend that grant. So to me, I don't see the big issue in making that change, but just know that that's there.
As a financial person, Leanne, do you have any thoughts on that? Does it do much?
No, it really doesn't.
And then the discussion with Michael McCabe from DPI, he said it's optional. You don't have to take action, but just know that there's a different definition that they use now. So
I mean, once in a while, there comes into question something more that you have to, informationalize that you have to provide when you have an equipment. So if it's a higher dollar amount, there's less of a chance of that, so. Moving it to 10,000 is not a bad thing in my world. It doesn't make a big difference. We don't have a lot of.
right, it's not bad, but then once again, we have 1 year left to spend items. Does it make that big of a difference at this point? So.
Should we discuss it more next month?
Or
Just go for it.
If we're using that grant, it's
Easier to
change it as.
up it
It's
now.
easier to change it now
Well, then
versus later because
I
we
make
have
a
to get
motion.
spending on it.
Up it to
I
10,000?
would say that's probably true.
Are you seconding it?
Second.
Okay. All right. So we had a motion by Stacy to raise the equipment value threshold from 5,000 to 10,000 to match the state definition, and a second by Brandon. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Chuck, I have not been able to see the documentation that we have currently that specifies that amount, but I'll continue to find that and we can get it clarified. Okay, so.
Perfect. Okay. Anything else before we adjourn? No? Okay. All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting at 5:44 p.m.?
I motion to adjourn.
All right.
I second that.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a good holiday season.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that came out quick.
Yeah.
Very quick.
She's with the
Yeah.
Works. I'm not sure what that acronym stands for, but she's been working with us quite a bit.